Welcome to Lions, Tigers and Bears.
And even when Kiki left the radio house, this is the first thing she will think about when flying. But later, when she feels depressed, she turns it off. The radio she took from her father no longer comforts her. She takes a broom from her mother. Later, in self-disclosure, Kiki's broom often fails or doesn't actually belong to her. All the clumsiness in flight resonates directly with how Kiki cannot comfortably express herself and how further she gets confused in what magic is for her. The more awkward becomes her flight,
私のは仕事だもん。楽しいことばかりじゃないわ。
そうかな才能生かした仕事だろ素敵だよ
Subsequently, in the loss of magic and in the future, not being able to talk with Didi family means that the kick has grown, and her attitude to the way she expresses it herself can no longer be the same.
私、修行中の身なんです。魔法がなくなったら、私、何の取り柄もなくなっちゃう。
But when Kiki gets her magic back, she does so by grabbing a broom and making it her own, thereby accepting herself. These little quirks make film about the witch feel down to earth and alive. You can feel it when in such scenes when the understanding comes that the painting was weighed. For example, how here Kiki throws up heavy purchases, carrying them on her shoulders, and when her father raises her daughter, but he doesn't do it for the first time because she has already grown up. Or starting from the building during the flight because the package is heavy, or it's just a bicycle. In animation, this is called anticipation. This is when the character prepares for action, giving a hint to the viewer about what will happen next. Do you see this little movement? It is thanks to it that we feel what is happening is authentic. Objects have physics and weight. Without such a preparatory movement, there would be no impulse, and what is happening would seem to be weightless. When it comes to traditional 2D animation like here, it is in many ways hand-assembled moments. Ghibli, in principle, is famous for paying attention to episodes that do not play a special role in the plot, but this is exactly what enriches the story on the screen. Look with what fuss Kiki chewing gum. This episode is fleeting, and at the same time, thanks to this, we often associate anime with Ghibli as something bizarre and insanely beautiful. Here, the Kiki decides to help the old woman in making the pie. The animators again think through every movement that can tell us a little more about the witch's intentions. Here we see how she collected firewood for the stove, but one of them falls to the ground. Trying to get to him ultimately decides that if she will drop everything and just spend her precious time. Then pushing the lock away, she hurried back to the stove. Take away this moment where the Kiki is trying to pick up a lock and then pushes it with his foot. Without this episode, some of the important information about heroine would be lost because you would only know that she wants to help, and all that is connected with what she feels and how much and sincerely wants to help the old woman would be lost. Of course, Miyazaki and the team do this more than once by laying personal qualities in body language. Interesting details are also connected with the city in which the main story takes place. Hayao Miyazaki explains that Koriko is made up of several different cities from across the globe, including Paris, Lisbon, and Napoli. By inventing an idealized European town, Ghibli can jump from a bustling metropolis in one scene to a serene seaside view moments later. The downtown area of Koriko was largely based on Stockholm, which you can see in many aspects of the city architecture, the tapered roofs and rounded spires. You can see where artists tweaked the design to make the tower bolder and more prominent in the cityscape, which ensures the audience will remember the landmark when the finale rolls around. And all this goes back to how Miyazaki constantly looks around when he tries to invent a world for his anime. Sooner or later, in such a big city for Kiki, a moment comes when everyone around them begins a very definite life, but not hers. And this moment comes when her favorite thing is no longer does not bring pleasure. This is what they are now talking about when they remember the kickers in the context of creative play and the problems of the authors when they feel insufficiently experienced in the new conditions. But in terms of animation, when the Kiki regains its strength, something beautiful happens. We know that in the city there is often a strong wind, because of which, in the climax, the airship is uncoiled and her friend is in trouble, but also because of the wind we see the very inherent power of life. Animators gave the hair to the dress and even a bow on her head with smooth detail, where each frame dictates movement. And this is not the wind that sways her clothes when she is just on the street. It is a visual reflection of the power of her own talent. You can easily compare it when she takes off on a broomstick at the beginning of the film and when she is ready to rediscover herself. In the climax, the moment immediately takes on special significance. The sound calms down and the wind that rips the hair and the dress takes on hitherto unheard power, just like the Kiki itself. I like the versatility of which delivery service, which suddenly began to reveal itself in a new way. Of course, Miyazaki hardly invested all these thoughts that our generation has now noticed 30 years later. But in the end, The Witch's delivery service has become an excellent proof that animation is perhaps one of the purest forms of storytelling, and thanks to the movement, even the smallest, everything comes to life.
Welcome to Lions, Tigers and Bears.